We are red is on.
Being 4:47, I'll call the Tilton Board of Selectmen's meeting of June 7th. Let the record show Selectman Scanlon is not here. He will be here momentarily. At this point, can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's see. How fast does it run?
Whatever is moving.
Well, while we're waiting, you want to work on the May 17th? No, yeah, I guess May 17th is the oldest.
Right.
Minutes?
Page 1. Senator Robert Guider reported the Caliph Hill Road project had been restored to the 10-year plan. It was never on the 10-year plan.
Added.
This is not a 10-year plan project. That's specifically a Class 2 State Aid road project.
So it's been added.
Now it's been added to the 10-year plan, which I'm not sure what, it's sort of a benefit that a 10-year plan is not a stable agreement. It's not an agreement, it's a suggestion.
Right, maybe even say continues to be off of whatever it is.
Well, it's unfunded.
Continues to be
Continues to be
unfunded and is
unfunded.
now but put on the,
Good point.
Yeah, we're on the May 17th.
Some of this is still pending though.
That's fine. Go ahead. Non-public session, first page, as it pertains to personnel. That is very specific. Not all personnel discussions are non-public. So if you look at 91A, you'll see that they're very specific. So there must have been a specific reason. I mean, I know why we're in the non-personnel.
Where the whole thing says compensation.
I think that discussion on May 17th, if you look at the discussion that we had coming out of it, had to do with the reputation of another and disparaging somebody. I would get the language, yeah, it's personnel, but because I didn't get the language directly from 91A. This is the Attorney General.
Yeah, it was discipline, personal compensation, or reputation. I think reputation would be another, reputation is a different subject, not 100%. See, I put personnel because I thought there might have been some disciplinary action as a result.
Is there's actually no category in non-public that says personnel. It lists them by, only if I should consider act upon non-public session, dismissal, promotion, or compensation of an offended employee, or the disciplining of such. B is the hiring of any person. C is matters which are discussed in public, but this is probably A, dismissal, promotion, or compensation, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigating, blah, blah, blah.
A, but the description of personnel is not accurate. It's inaccurate.
Right,
It
there
is
is no
A.
heading in here that says personnel.
I get it.
So you don't go into non-public for personnel. You have to be specific. And that's according to the Attorney General. And John, this is mine, it's right here, if you want to borrow it and go through it.
Yeah, what I usually do is I use my cheat sheet, and my cheat sheet should be a little bit better.
Well, I think there is one in here as well,
The
written
cheat
by the
sheet?
Attorney General's office, yeah. You're welcome to peruse this. I found it very, very helpful. If you ever get in trouble for 91A, it's going to be with the Attorney General's office. So keep right here, Michelle.
I thought that it says employee instead of personnel. We don't have personnel, but it says employee. So it says employee, hiring, reputation, acquisition, negotiation. States. Okay, so that'll be all. Okay. And what I usually do is just, I have to and right, so, yeah, okay, exactly. And do I have to do a shared service? That's just my So.
So, do we have amendments? Are there any amendments?
Yeah, there were a few.
Okay. So we have a motion to accept as amended,
So moved.
seconded.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Do you want to do the appointment, John?
We have an appointment.
Mm-hmm. I think Pat has the application.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to do the appointment to.
We need to sign
Yeah.
Which committee?
ZBA.
The ZB?
DBA.
Excellent, thank you.
That probably does. Yeah. That has her.
The P's brought him. I don't know.
That's
Just asking.
Look it up.
Yeah. I didn't today, no. Yes. I don't even have one.
Yes, awfully good
It's
choice.
usually fine.
Oh, interview them.
Oh, yeah.
Probably should.
Interview him, ask him lots of questions.
Who is that guy?
Who is he? Where does he live?
I have no.
6 forms of ID, voter
Want to practice
registration.
sitting at the table?
What's that?
Want to practice sitting at the table?
If you want me to.
You're going to swear at you in a minute. Yeah. This is for ZBA.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you. Sounds like it's anywhere.
Great answer, interested in being more involved with the community.
Yeah.
What can you ask for more?
Never seen that before.
Rare, I guess.
Yeah, now, when they asked me if I knew your name, I didn't know your name, but now looking at you, I've seen you.
I
Familiar
know,
face.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, yeah, I've worked for the fire department for 10 years.
Put a name to
That's
the
right.
face on
I don't want to be the one to
Paramedic.
say it.
Paramedic, yeah.
What's that?
No, I was like, I don't want to be the one to say it, but I was thinking the same. I was like,
Been lurking around.
yeah.
Matt loved Donnie Stevens.
Donnie Stevens and I had differences of opinions.
Love-hate relationship.
It's all right.
Oh, yeah.
They meet every third, well, I think the chair should do it, every third Tuesday?
Or when needed, I suppose, when needed, but you have a public hearing coming up.
On the
You're gonna see
19th,
all
I
these
think.
Folks again.
I think it was on the 19th.
Yes.
Yeah, don't they typically meet the third
Third-
Tuesday?
Third Tuesday.
They meet second and fourth for planning, right?
Yes.
It was
I think the thing
sworn
on
in.
every other month or something is scheduled,
You have the honor.
but it was only if it wasn't
It
necessary.
can be every month, depends on,
Oh,
what they're,
maybe that was Darius, like, it was usually every other month is what it.
yeah,
Plus you've
it
got
depends on
cases.
how many cases they have,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so, I guess we can stand up and do this. Okay. Whereas there is a vacancy as a full member of the zoning board of adjustment for a term of 3 years in the town of Tilton, county of Belknap, we the subscribers have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office. We do hereby appoint you, and upon your taking of the oath of said office recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liabilities of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. So, you're going to repeat after me, is I, and Matthew Gilman, do solemnly swear that I will, no, why don't you read that?
Okay.
That's probably better.
Yeah.
I, Matthew Gilman, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a zoning board of adjustment member to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of this Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help me God.
It's really good.
I think he practiced.
Yeah.
I had a mirror down there. Today's the 7th?
We use the 7th.
No, we'll have a form. Now, we'll have a 34 for you as well, because you received a stipend.
Oh, okay,
So, at your meeting, you receive. And you get it at Christmas time,
okay. That's a good time for it.
so you can buy presents.
Christmas gifts, perfect.
Thank you for agreeing. Yes, reading.
Yeah, no problem.
Great, yeah.
Did he
Town
sign,
needs.
He's signed.
is the signature line?
And then, right, and then you signed because you swore him in
Right.
on the bottom.
Signature.
Not the very last one, the last
Second
one is
to-
Cindy's.
Yeah, I'm right here.
I know it's only been 1 week since we met. 1 week is like,
Okay,
There you go.
well, thank you.
That's it, all right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Did he sign that?
Thank you.
Yeah, you did.
What's that?
Right where the signature is. Matt, hold on a
Matt, I
second.
don't-
Did he sign it?
Now, Cindy's got to record it.
Yes.
But he's got to sign it again where he got swore in.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm asking. Did he
Right.
sign
it
it?
looks like,
There's two
Signature,
places.
yeah.
Two
Okay.
places.
He's
I only
got it.
signed once.
where's the second place?
You got it.
You got to
Just the
print
one.
in I,
Yep.
Matt Gilman.
Oh,
Did you do
that is done, yeah.
All
Okay.
right, good, thank
Yeah.
you.
And I have to put in the term.
I think the term's in there.
Oh, because he's filling,
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, we had one that didn't come through the signature.
yeah. That is it, right? Yeah. Thank you.
So we have
Have a
one
night.
more position
You too.
still available for the CBA, right?
I don't think we know that yet. Not officially.
Officially, we're
Yes.
full right now.
Huh?
Okay.
Officially, we're full.
Okay, gotcha.
You
Okay,
are?
we're doing
I
good.
thought it was.
Right. Doing real good here. We're right on schedule for choice.
Yes, so that I don't have to move, can I just rearrange these
A microphone?
microphones?
Sure.
Don't take Catherine's. Won't be able to hear
Yeah,
her.
please.
We're gonna shoot them all down. She's, yeah.
Oh yeah, just give Catherine one back. She'll need it. Do we have a, agenda for you? Yep.
Yes. Do you want to do the other 7 minutes? Could we go ahead and do the other set of minutes before I start?
We can do that. So open minutes of the Selectmen's meeting of Thursday, May 24th. Table for you.
So, on the first page under Chief's update, after a spirited conversation, I, for one, would like the record to show, or at least a brief description of what that spirited conversation was, whether or not we should go into non-public.
Okay, so
Just, I don't know, use whatever words
Do
are
you want me-
necessary.
Do you want me to
just
say that you questioned whether the going into non-public was,
If you want to say Dawson the question, that's fine.
okay?
I just wanted the record to reflect that there was a protest to go into non-public.
Okay, non-public protest, okay. Okay.
And then under the next one, on a roll call vote, motion carried. I would like that to indicate that Dawson voted no to go into non-public. And if you again refer to the Attorney General, this is Appendix B, non-public session. It describes the process of going into non-public, and then it states that each member can state his or her vote out loud, typically going in order around the table. While the right to know law does not require a recorded roll call vote, the most effective way to document proper compliance with this requirement is to have the minutes reflect how each member voted, because it is required to have a roll call vote. So I would like to show that.
And then when you came out to seal them, you declined to vote.
I declined to vote. Doesn't make sense. I did not.
So you're asking that the roll call vote be specific to each person and have it spelled out, Catherine?
Yeah, I have said that before,
It
Yep.
is on, it is on.
but in our
non-public.
minutes, in our minutes, these are our minutes.
To
It
go
should
into non-public,
reflect
the
our
motion,
vote.
right?
Sure.
The motion to go into
Okay.
non-public should also reflect that as well.
So if it was unanimous, that's sufficient, unanimous, but if there's some
If-
that did and some that didn't, we should list that.
I think so.
Nope.
I think that would,
Is that you?
Ashley,
I think that would comply. So again, on page 3, it doesn't tell us who voted. It says motion carried. Was it a unanimous vote? And I don't remember, it could have been.
Which one?
On page 3, Non-public personnel, 7:14.
You didn't vote.
It said on the roll call vote, motion carried. So if it was unanimous, I would
Okay.
suggest instead of saying motion carried, say, as John suggested, it was unanimous vote. If one of us voted no, it should be in there.
I,
I just wanted to say, the meeting.
That would be a novel idea, Joyce.
well, you want to make it good, you want to put it front.
Like,
It's one of our elements, that's the
No, we don't want to put on a good front, he needs to know us in our rawest form.
from what I hear, we would be on our good behavior considering Ashland.
This hasn't changed this agreement?
just the dates.
Okay, so everybody had the opportunity to read the minutes of Thursday, 24th, and we have a motion to accept it as amended. I'll make that motion.
Second.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Catching that.
My turn.
All caught up with our minutes.
Okay, in the to be signed folder, there was a disposition of abatement form. This is for an individual who's, we had incorrect information saying that he had moved, but he hasn't moved. He's lived there for a long time. So Lauren's been made aware of it, and she will put it back on, and it will correct itself in the second issue bill.
Did we also look into why it was incorrectly?
Yes,
Okay, and that's been taken care of?
yes.
Okay.
It was confusing because the son's name was first on the deed instead of second. Okay, next is the elderly deferral payment agreement, and I hope you all had an opportunity to review that, and if you will go ahead and sign it, I will call the individual and have him come in and sign it.
It was very to the point and very
And
understandable.
also, I want to leave a historical record, clear historical record.
Well, I have a
Oh, yeah,
question.
that's good, that I know that somebody,
All right, well,
I
I have
give
a
things to
question.
Gail, but it's always good to have them.
I have a question.
Yes.
So on the bottom of page 2, in very nice explanation in history of what took place and where we were finally at with the bottom line. If I remember the agreement correctly, we agreed to abate interest and penalties on the bottom line total amount, but it's basically pending the successful payoff of the 2006 lien.
Mhm.
if that isn't successful,
Whole
that's
thing's
it.
gone.
The whole thing is gone.
Right.
It says here, any additional amount, this amount will be applied to the principal balance due. So that's telling me the agreed upon payments are gonna be applied to the bottom line total.
That's it. I made sure I put 2016 in there quite a few times.
I got 2006.
I'm sorry, 2006.
Right, but it says, this amount will be applied to the principal balance due.
The point of that sentence is, it's $200 a month, because you were very clear about that amount.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll go on the principal. And you're welcome to place more than that, which goes on the principal. But right in that paragraph, we're only talking about 2006. We're only talking about that 1 year. And at the end, as soon as that's paid, because that interest is still accruing, and as soon as that's paid, and he's successfully met the agreement of $200 a month, then you would abate the interest.
Well, I hate to ask you to add anything to that. And I understood that's what you meant to do, but I think if we put this amount will be applied to the principal balance due, comma, and then the amount for 2006, which I think is public, but you see what I'm saying?
I'd have to look at it.
So you would say this amount will be applied to the principal balance due, comma, and
And then put this amount in there, yeah. Instead of the bottom line, put this amount after this state, and maybe you don't think it's necessary.
so by signing this letter, you agree to commence amending.
All right, so to the 2000s, in this sentence, you want to have the 2006 principal balance due, okay?
Oh, all right, if I do it that way.
Yeah, because then you've got it in that sentence, you have it in this sentence, and then you have it in the next
Yeah. I mean,
1, 2, 3 sentences, and then you go to the next page.
You
Yeah.
say it, right, in the third
Yeah.
sentence, you say upon successful completion of the payment in 2006, the board will abate the interest that is accrued of the date of 2006 was recorded.
and maybe it's not necessary, well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
also
yeah,
asking.
it will be, I can put in, this amount will be applied to the 2006 principal balance due.
Because my next question is, does it, and this is the to be signed one, does it matter if we apply it to the total, 26? You know, you understand?
We abated the interest
Does it-
already, so why?
No,
if
no,
it's-
only for 2005. We
We
only
only
abated
abated the
any
interest.
interest except for 2000.
I thought it was the interest on 2006.
No,
Oh, abated.
no.
Right.
We agreed to abate the interest in 2006 upon completion,
Upon completion.
successful completion of paying it off.
Right.
Then we abate.
Okay.
But it may not be necessary to do what I'm suggesting because,
Yeah, I
like I
don't think
said,
it
my
is.
next
It's got 3
question is,
sentences.
what would occur if there was a confusion that this was this?
That we can squeeze that in, no problem, and it
Okay.
won't affect, because I can
Okay.
still keep this amount will be applied to the 2006. Okay? So,
You can just change page 2
yeah,
without the signature page.
and also I have in there,
Just add.
and I kept the 2005 completely separate from that.
Nice job. Yeah.
And then it says, at that time, Board of Selectmen may offer an extension.
Yeah, very well done. You took a lot of time on that document.
Because we've been working on this for a long time. So I can insert that on the second page of the board, what rest of the board wants to sign now. Okay, the annual parking lot agreement with Tuscan Hill. I'd sent an email explaining why it was so late getting to them, because I don't believe they would have stayed in the agreement if we didn't fix the
No, they wouldn't have.
block wall, and also I explained to the Public Works Director and the crew that they need to know the history behind why we do some of the things. And this is part of an agreement that the selectmen have made. Now, it's annual.
They did not want, at the original, they wanted to go yearly, and they wanted to go
Right,
annually.
we tried to get them to go annual.
They wanted to go 2 year, 3 year. They didn't.
So I want to make sure that this board and future boards know the history of that. It's no different than how we need the history of that boundary wall with the, I forget the name of the company there, but where Awakenings is.
John Bernard, yeah. Yeah, let's see.
And I've saved pictures of it. It doesn't get wrecked every year. It really depends upon,
Every year it does.
Every year it does?
Every single year it does. Every year we replace or repair the brick, and then we have to shovel out the, around the grate,
Yeah.
because that's where they pile the snow, and so all the dirt ends up right where the drain is.
yeah.
And if we can, avoid, the last couple of years, we've tried to avoid plowing over where the grate is, and that's helped.
Right.
Great,
Well, and also
great deal.
the grates there
The
because
grades
the
helped a great deal.
It's great
fire
way to
department washes their vehicles there, and all that water was going in there.
Well, that's good because it washes the sand down further.
Yeah, but they have grass there. That's like their backyard. They have lawn there.
But it hits the grate before it goes to the wall.
Right.
It would hit the drain before it goes to the wall.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's good that that drain is there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why they put it there.
Yeah.
Because they were doing.
What else do you have, Joyce?
Okay, the next is the, I have what I'm hoping is the final draft of the hiring procedure. So on this one, I showed, the changes are in italics. What's been deleted is crossed out, and I left off the 2 appendices because you already have the appendices.
So it's just what we talked about, basically, at the last meeting, you've changed it, okay.
You want to look at that now, John?
We'll go through, get through Joyce's stuff.
That's what we're on now, is the hiring. Do you want to look at that or wait and then go back?
We'll go wait and go back.
Okay.
Go through these things.
The Geico claim, I sent the board information on this and asked the board to make a decision tonight on their final offer. And I apologize on the comparison chart that I sent you, and again, Catherine Dawson caught it, on the, I had used the wrong number on the very first estimate, settlement offer they gave us.
That was an email you sent?
Yeah. It would have been, I think the Friday, so the, would have been the, it was right after the last meeting we had.
Oh, okay.
I was amazed because he called right away. He called the day after our meeting.
I'll make a motion that we accept the settlement amount offered by Geico.
Second.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
I just want to say, Joyce, you did an excellent job dickering with them. That was well done.
I've spoken with 4 different people there.
Nice job.
Okay, on the applications,
Is Tim here? No.
oh, but thank you for reminding me, I need to do his, I promised I would do him first. We have 34 applications. And the timeline, and Gail, you're gonna have to help me out here, because I know you gave me that piece of paper, and I don't have it, is that, oh, here it is. We're, myself and Tim and Dari and Gail will be screening them, and Brock. we'll be screening them. We'll also be developing interview questions. We hope to have this phase of reading them, developing the interview questions, and our meeting to be completed by before June 23rd. Brock's on vacation this week because a lot of people are going to start taking vacations in July. So we hope to turn everything over to the board no later than absolute latest July 15th. That way you'll have from July 5th, well, right, as soon as possible.
That's good.
Yeah, as soon as possible, because we want to give you at least 6 weeks to review and interview. Hopefully,
6 weeks,
we'd like to have you make an offer no later than August 15th.
Yeah. What is our email?
Our email?
Yeah.
No, what would Ashley
Well,
say?
time specifically.
Oh,
SEL.
SEL.St. John, right?
Yeah, the Tilton AH.
SEL.
SEL.
For some reason, so just so you guys know, I don't have my email. For some reason, it's not on here. When you said it, I was like, yeah, I haven't been getting emails. And I looked, so just so you guys know. I probably did something. I probably deleted it.
SEL.stjohn@tiltonnh.org. You want me to send you, I sent some more emails to you.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any now that you said it. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention.
Well, I just use a board of selectmen.
Should be in
But
there.
it's not on my
Go-
phone,
go-
so I'm
go
not.
into
I
your
don't
Saying
phone
it's not on your
settings.
phone, that's all. Just go in your
It's
phone.
on-
Are you in
Got
Google?
Adam.
At Tilton, what?
NH.org.
No, like I'm sure I'm getting them. I just I'm not. I haven't read them because I.
Now you're gonna get 450.
Or board of selectmen at tiltonnh.org. Are you logged into Gmail?
Yeah, not on the selectmen though for some reason.
Do you want me to send you another test?
No, because I don't have it on my phone.
Joyce, 6 weeks, August 15th, if you back up to July 15th, you're not giving ourselves 6 weeks. July 15th to August 15th is really like 4 weeks. So if you look at the time frame there, if you get it to us at the beginning of July, you're giving us about 6 weeks to take a look at that. I don't know that we need 6 weeks, but if you're narrowing it down for us, I don't think that we need 6 weeks, but I'm really getting concerned that on the time frame to get someone in here and shadowing you, but before you leave.
Well, I think we had talked about, the first part of October, they only needed a couple of weeks with her.
No, we don't want that.
You want the whole month?
Well, back up. I don't know, board, how much time do we feel that Joyce's replacement would need to
I'm here to the
shadow her?
31st, no matter what.
So you're here to the 31st of October, and I know when we talked about this early on in the beginning of the year, we said, we gotta start moving on this, because there's still a lot of loose ends. I know that you're trying to tie them up,
Yes,
but
I
then
made a
there's
list.
still a lot of history and a lot of,
This is just.
Okay, so Joyce, how long do you think it will
Okay,
take to
we
orient
will
somebody?
we will get our recommendations to the board by July 1st.
And how long will it take to orient somebody into your position?
Why?
We can't, our recommendations,
Yeah.
we're gonna have
Oh, 'cause
recommendations,
yeah,
we're gonna do
yeah,
the first round of
yes, the
interviews,
screening.
narrow it down, the
Yeah.
screening, and then give them the top 5
Okay,
or 6.
okay.
So
that
to
can't
give
be done by
ourselves
July
a
1st.
date that needs to be done by what time, Joyce?
It
How
is, 'cause I had to
long?
leave that.
I think August 15th is gonna be
How
plenty
long
of
is it
time.
going to take you to orient somebody?
I was
It
thinking
depends
2
on-
weeks.
It's gonna depend on the person. If you have someone who has
So we should probably shoot
experience.
for a month then.
Yeah,
Okay.
So you're leaving October 31st, you said?
so we have someone in the beginning of October, you feel that that's
So
enough
we need
time.
we need a higher date in
So we
September.
said August, offer a letter with
Well,
60-day start.
I
So
think we
August
can-
would be the second.
I think we can decide on a higher date later on, because whoever you choose, if they have experience as a town administrator, they're not gonna need a month to be acquainted.
Yes, but to give us a good idea of when we need to be done by. we need to have somebody by then.
Have someone selected.
Right.
Selected, not necessarily ready to work on
Correct.
October
Right.
1st, we could
October
say
Yes, I agree.
October 15th.
Mid-August. Right, okay. So let's, the board set a deadline to ourselves that like August 15th is our deadline to get somebody selected.
Well, you guys are
folks
gonna
go
do
through
the stuff,
process you
right?
go through,
You
but
guys are
that's our
gonna do it.
deadline.
Right,
I
so
think
they can
September
offer
1st
earlier
is
than
plenty of
August
time
15th.
to have somebody selected, because what if we get the 5 or 6 or whatever, and the board agrees that there are others on there that we'd like to interview?
It'd be better to do August.
Well, they're
because
gonna
if
give us
somebody refuses an offer and there's negotiation or they back out of it, then
But Catherine,
2
that's,
weeks before that would probably be a good idea to start getting pretty honed in on it.
I just don't think that we should be, I mean, I think we've given ourselves plenty of time. I don't want to see us rushed into a decision by deadlines. I mean,
No,
I
but
think
we
if
need to know, like,
Projected
what time frame
dates.
we're looking at.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
just a guide.
Joyce just said she was going to have the information to us, the 5 by when, July 15th?
July 15, which gives us about
Right.
4 weeks.
Not July 15th, next week. It's gonna be next week.
No,
No,
next week.
Brock is on
We
vacation
are-
next week.
Correct. Okay,
You're going to go through a selection
by the
interview
week of the
process, selection
25th.
process.
okay.
Yes.
We're gonna have our questions in the short list. July interviews for the first interview, which will be our
Yep.
first interviews. And by August, offer letter with 60-day start. So that's September, October, in October, if in August. So by, maybe, no later than August 15th.
Yes.
So somewhere around the end of July, first part of August, they'll have the short list.
Which we may choose we want to interview or ourselves.
so if this short list, I think what Catherine is saying, if the short list doesn't pan out, we want to go back to a longer list. We would
If
like
there's someone that you all have chosen
Mhm.
that we didn't.
that you didn't, and so
Which
we
one
want to
would
have
we-
enough time to be able to do that and still meet
Yep.
that
Yep.
October.
But we can do that.
Right,
So if you have it just by August 1st.
yeah. So now you get a guideline. It's just a guide. Now, nobody's holding us to the fire on it, but it really is a guide.
Okay. But there's
Carpet.
a number of very qualified candidates.
There's a lot of good candidates. It's,
All right, while I'm thinking of it, you got your report from Tim. I had told him that I would make sure that I brought that up first. And I already
Which
forgot.
one is that? Oh, yeah,
Then email.
yeah.
We need some motions.
Did you get your email?
Copy of your file.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I got the,
motion needed, Lake Region Planning Commission Electric Supply Aggregation Delegation.
There are aggregate.
John, you see the
fire.
motion?
Mm-hmm.
it says to designate our finance director. Where are you going, Catherine, with that?
Isn't that just ask John if he saw it?
Yeah,
He's
I'm
the
looking at
chair.
that. How does everybody
You're
feel
making
about
a
that?
motion.
Yes, make the motion.
Anybody have any?
Make the motion,
Or
we'll
make it-
discuss it.
Okay, I move that we designate our finance director, Tim Pearson, to negotiate and sign any documents required to complete the Lakes Region Planning Commission electric supply aggregation project, including a vendor contract, and report back to us the results when completed.
Second.
Okay, anybody want to discuss this or not familiar with it? Everybody's happy.
We're good.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous.
Okay, next he needs a motion on the cruiser financing.
Make a motion, we go with Franklin Savings Bank for the 2018 cruiser financing with the terms not to exceed 2.49% interest and principal paid over 3 years, and further to designate the chief to execute any required financing paperwork. The chair instead of chief, I'm sorry.
No one was gonna correct you.
Oh, they should. Because He's not allowed to do that.
We've been through this many times, and you just said that.
That's
we
sparked
tried-
motorcycle.
Oh.
We have-
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? What is the amount we're financing it in
48,000 or
A
something
lot.
like that.
for the cruiser?
Yeah.
And what's coming out of our
Whatever
cruiser
it
fund?
costs.
the special detail fund, we have to-
Well, remember that
And
paper he...
we're gonna make
No,
the
some of
payments
it's
out of
coming
it.
out of it. Some of it's, the first part is coming out. Remember he gave it to us a couple of times.
Well,
So-
a month and a half ago.
I have a question. If we need to have a public hearing to take the payments out of the special detail fund, and I know in years past, nobody has attended, but we have them anyway.
We do it anyway.
But if somebody came and made a valid comment about not purchasing the cruiser or not using freight and saving banks or not, are we putting the cart before the horse? So in other words, is he just asking us to, it says to execute any required financing paperwork. To me, that means to sign, to bind us into
We
an
already
agreement.
motioned to buy a cruiser this year.
Okay, but in order for us to purchase a cruiser and take the monies out of the detail fund and commit to buying a
We have to
cruiser,
have a
we're
public
supposed to have a public hearing.
Correct.
But because he's got the language in here, and further to designate the chair to execute any required financing paperwork,
which he wouldn't submit until after the public hearing.
Well, that's because it's going, that portion of the transaction, we don't need a public hearing for, because that portion of it's coming from, the bank is financing that portion.
executing any required financing paperwork is premature to having a public hearing. I think we can say, I move that we use Franklin Savings Bank for the 2018 cruiser financing with terms not to exceed 2.5 and principal paid over 3 years, period. Have the public hearing, and then designate the chair to execute any required financial paperwork.
But he
Because
says in the sec-
executing any financial paperwork should definitely come after the public hearing.
In the statement in number 3, he says,
I read
I
that.
should have the paperwork to execute sometime after the public hearing.
I read that, but we're authorizing executing that required financial paperwork today before the public hearing.
Can I just say, what he's locking in is the interest rate. The amount that we're borrowing depends upon how much the board decides to take from the special detail fund.
Right.
You decide how much you
And
want.
that comes from the public hearing.
And that's what the public hearing does, so that you say, we're gonna buy this cruiser, and we wanna use X number of dollars using that money from the detail fund. So if everybody comes and says, no, you're not taking out of the detail fund,
Then it comes
then you
from the bank.
finance it. You
Right.
finance a larger amount.
But we finance it, and that encumbers into our budget for future years as well as this year on something that was never even put in the budget. Right?
Again, I suggest that we take out that last part about executing any required financing paperwork after we have a public hearing, which will allow him to negotiate with Franklin. We're saying, yes, we will use Franklin Savings Bank to finance this if everything goes well in the public hearing.
I'm okay with that, yeah.
Historically,
Okay.
it will.
So
Yeah.
how do you want to amend
That
it? What do you want to
Period
do?
after the over 3 years.
Period at the end of paid over 3 years. Leave out the
Have a
rest.
Public hearing and then designate.
And
him.
then designate the chair to execute any required finance paperwork. Yes, exactly.
So can we schedule a public hearing?
Point
Next.
of order.
Go ahead.
I made the motion and you're amending the motion.
We already have a motion on the table.
A motion on the table. Thank you very much. We have a motion on the table, right? And we have...
I'll amend my
a second.
motion to take out, and further to designate the chair to execute any required financing paperwork.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm confused now.
Pat is amending her motion,
Just
The
taking out the
original
last
motion.
and I'm going to second her amendment to her original motion.
Right.
So that the motion we are voting on, if we approve the amendment,
Right.
if you like Chuck Mitchell, we'll be voting on, I move that we use Frank blah, 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 and principal paid over 3 years, period.
Period.
So, we have a motion as stated,
Okay.
which I will not repeat.
Someone gonna second her?
And
She
I
did.
seconded
And that's the
her
second.
motion.
Right,
It's my motion.
right,
of,
so we're voting on the first motion that was amended.
yes, the amended motion that was amended by the maker of the motion and seconded by,
Correct. She seconded the amendment.
Just keeping Joan on his toes.
so, any further discussion?
God, I hope not.
Everybody knows what they're voting on here, I hope. Okay, that's correct.
Let's do it.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Unanimous. Thank you. We got that right.
Can we schedule a
Then
public hearing?
can we do the public hearing next
I'll leave it.
week?
Excuse me, Mr. Madam Chair. Sir Chair. And now that that was amended, and that was all in favor to amend it, do we have to make the second one to read as the notes were changed?
No, that's the correct motion. We didn't,
No, because
it was only
the
amendment which
original.
got voted on.
Right.
Maker of the motion amended before we voted on it.
Okay.
Okay,
So
All right.
that is
So
the
the
official
amendment would
motion.
include her correction.
yes.
Gotcha.
It ends,
that right?
it ends period after years.
It
Pat?
included my correction.
Pat's correction, which
Was
Catherine
Kathy's.
repeated.
Which was Kathy.
She repeated it.
Right, I just repeated.
Right.
Are you sure you want?
Carpet estimate?
Okay, and they voted, they took a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
You can move
Now-
Charlie out of the, so feel free to
Yeah.
come up to the chair where there's not.
Okay, so we're doing good here.
Got
We're
what
moving
you
right
want.
along. So the next thing is can we schedule the
Public hearing.
public hearing for next week?
We can, there's nothing on the, well,
Isn't it 10 days
We
or
print
something?
don't we print a notice in the paper?
No,
No,
No, we just
But-
post it?
we're
Yeah.
just posted.
and
We
let
close a couple
Scott
places,
use
I think.
I don't know.
Yeah.
put it on
Two
the
places.
kiosk, put it on the website, have Tim put it right on the website, front page.
Catherine, haven't we,
Okay, what's the date?
was it the
Thursday the
original
14th.
one in town meeting, didn't it say like 10 days?
Oh, I don't remember, I'd have to look.
We could do it 21st.
So
It
we'll
makes no bit
schedule
of
it.
difference, both.
At the earliest
Also-
opportunity, pending
Right.
the
With Jim-
notification.
with Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
What John said.
Okay.
Okay.
Carpet?
Okay,
Cool.
no, not yet. There's,
Hang on.
okay, signatures needed on the letter to the trustees authorizing withdrawal from the highway equipment fund. That get signed?
Yes,
Not
I
gonna
think
need
it's
that.
missing.
Yeah, you're the last person.
John gets it last,
Because you're not good.
and it's missing
I'm
John.
still trying to figure out the motions.
You'll get it.
Are we gonna talk about this one for a second, or no?
Which one?
The,
The trustees?
yes.
John, you want to talk about that?
Yes, let's go right into that.
I don't think he was here earlier.
So- Even though you put a sticker on it, asking the other selectmen if we wanted to hold that check. And we all said yes, because the sticker remained on it that said, shall we hold this? It ended up being mailed. So, my suggestion is, in the future, if we're gonna hold a check from this,
Hold
we pull it out, go to the folder, and we hand it to Joyce, say, hold this.
I agree.
Which one, which check was this?
Fairfield.
Fairfield.
But why did we hold it? Say it
Well,
again.
let's see.
It took them a year to,
It
well,
took
almost a
them
year.
from, I think it was August through April or May to put the plow on our new plow truck. So we got our new plow truck delivered long after all the snow.
Couple
All
weeks
right,
ago.
so they got the check.
And they got
Okay.
numerous things, and we suggested that.
We
you
would
know,
hold
why
the
didn't
check.
we instantly pay the receipt when it came in?
All right.
Should have earned a little interest on
We
it.
should wait until after the tax.
If the board decides to hold the check, we'll pull it and give it to Joyce, it won't get mailed.
Okay.
so-
Right. Or Gail, in case Joyce isn't here.
Okay, so are we done with Tim's report?
And then you know that the auditor will be here the week, June 20th and June 22nd out
in the main hall?
No, the break room, he said. He reserved the break room.
Oh,
Oh.
It said I reserved the
Oh, I
break
So
room,
we-
former land use office.
oh, I didn't.
Okay, so we went into Tim's, we segued into Tim's report there for a brief moment. Are we all done with Tim's report?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all done. Next thing would be carpeting.
Carpeting.
Oh, all right, I got some questions for Joyce before she finishes. Go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
We have a disposition abatement application here, and it says add back veterans and elderly exemptions.
Yeah.
Why are we going backwards and granting?
That was what she was,
Well, I explained that that had been inadvertently removed for the first
Oh,
issue.
I thought that was a tax. Okay, this is the one with the
Yes,
person moved and,
yes.
okay, I didn't hear the first part, okay.
He's like 88 years old, and that piece of yellow almost made him go into shock.
What I was doing is trying to get through all the agenda items and then go back, and we're gonna hit
Yeah, hiring,
the hiring and any questions for Joyce.
and the tax deed stuff, yeah. Okay, carpeting?
Oh, I can't, leave that okay with you.
It's just my,
Well, I'm just saying, I usually do this for Joyce's because it's Joyce's stuff and she's sitting here.
yeah.
And
And I
sometimes she
figure we'll get
leaves.
through the list and then
Okay,
we won't
I'm
let her
good with
leave,
that.
lock the doors.
I have a question. Moving forward with these meetings, should we allocate a time at the beginning of the meeting, like we do for the approval of minutes, to go through the manifest and the payroll and the to-be-signed file?
I think that would be great,
And, you know,
because
like
it's
15
really hard,
minutes,
it's
because
really,
Oh,
it's really hard to do that.
It is.
And listen to a discussion, because that's what I was doing when she was talking about
as we
this.
pass
The
things
thing-
around, you guys are, you know, we'll start at one end, pass it around, if anybody has any questions, we'll go
Yes, because
down.
I have a note right here to talk about payroll.
Sure, and while we discuss that under selectmen's
Okay.
things, we'll talk about how we can rearrange the meeting. We're gonna keep going on the Joyce thing. If you can make sure you call that. So carpeting.
Okay, this is what you had the last time we talked about it. And what the board had decided was to go with ADF and adding the additional $1,000 for subfloor if it's needed. So it was $17,630. So that's what I informed ADF.
We don't need to see the colors, do we?
No, our
We'll
motion
show
was
you
to
what
let Joyce take care of it.
Yeah.
How are the warranties?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I thought I had this right on top, I apologize. Downstairs. Oh, it's in a separate folder, that's why. No, it's in a separate folder, I already pulled it all out. So that number, okay, this is the proposal, but that section goes with it. And this is what he added to it is, ADF will begin work on date to be determined and complete it by date to be determined. What they require is they require 57% down for the materials, and then as soon as it's logged in, then they schedule it.
Oh, yeah.
The town is elected to use Booth Bay Impulse Carpet Tile by Johnson, and a Johnsonite Cove base. That's what we have. If you want to see it, we'll show you what we picked. The amount is $17,630 payable in 2 payments.
All right, that's fine.
The town will pay 50% deposit on or before the to-be-determined date, and will pay the balance upon job completion. ADF agrees to notify the town of Tilton if there are any changes to the materials or date of installation, and to not continue with any work until town of Tilton approves the changes. ADF agrees to remove all materials and debris from the town hall upon completion of the work. The floors will be left room clean and ready for new furniture and fixtures to be installed. ADF and the town agree that this contract is subject to the laws and regulations of the state of New Hampshire. And then he gave me a statement of warranty to be attached to this. Statement of warranty We hereby warrant all labor and materials provided from all defects for a period of 1 year from the project completion date. We further agree to repair, replace at no charge to the owner any defective materials or workmanship as required during this warranty period. Nothing in the above shall be deemed to apply to work which has been abused or neglected by the owner or the tenants. He also said that he would leave us with a stack of tiles so that, and he'll show us how to replace them.
Doesn't his product book say that those tiles are warranted for a lifetime? Is that what I read? It was longer than a year.
On the, well, this was the one I asked for.
Which one do you want, Joyce?
Hmm?
Which one do you want?
Oh, you want the color?
I just want to know which one you want to go with here.
You already
Oh,
picked it?
yeah, we already picked it.
Okay.
Two.
So-
Two.
Number two.
How long was it gonna take ADF to do their work? To,
Oh,
We're
you
getting
said,
into
you
stuff.
said.
5 day,
Yeah.
bottom of this. Estimated
And
5
he also
days.
said that he would plan to do the clerk's office on a Saturday.
Okay.
And I have his certificate of
and
insurance.
is this do we still have to have somebody move all the desks and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, and how long is that gonna take?
As soon as, oh,
I mean, is that like a day for them? What I'm trying,
Yeah.
so my next question, how disruptive is this going to be downstairs? Are we gonna have a day of the week? I assume we are, that the town clerk's office is gonna have to close.
no.
No.
They're doing it
He's
Saturday.
gonna do
The tiling's gonna take place, but what about moving all
No,
the
there's no
furniture?
tiling.
Or whatever.
Oh,
we're
carpet tiles, okay.
Whatever
They'll-
we're putting on the floor, somebody's gonna have to move the furniture.
Yes.
And then somebody's gonna take care of putting down the flooring.
Yes, yes.
Well, I assume the removing of the dust and stuff so they can put down the flooring is gonna take place the day before they do the flooring. And if the flooring's on a Saturday, it seems to me that on Friday,
Yeah.
desks and things will be moved from that office, so they will not be able to work in
Yes.
their office.
The clerk's office, yes.
Okay.
We can plan that we can, that if she, there's certain Fridays that she can't be closed.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can make arrangements to have the movers come in, and because by then, everything else will be done. Her office will be done last. Everything else will be completed. So we can do whatever, this is one of the reasons why we're going with them, because they can be very accommodating. I just have to line up when our movers come, when he's gonna be doing the work. And I can't get those dates until we make the deposit, we sign the contract.
Have we notified the clerk that there will be a day that her office will,
Yes.
she is aware of
Yes.
this? Okay.
And she gave me the dates that she could not be closed on a Friday.
All right. Now, has the rest of the downstairs staff been made aware of what's taking place?
In fact, they're chomping at the bit to hurry up and get this
Yeah,
ordered
let's just get
so
this
they can
done. I'm sick of talking
schedule.
about it.
Okay. All
Let's
right.
do this. Be done.
So this is what I need the board to sign.
Send
Of course,
it.
there's not enough signatures, so I did my handy dandy. Just kidding.
Is that mine?
What?
Is that over me?
No, this is your signature things. I mean, these are what you're gonna sign.
They didn't do it on their form, so she's making it so it works.
And I'm gonna staple together. Now, if you want, you can initial, and I would recommend that you initial each of these pages. This, and I'll make a copy of the warranty on the back of the carpeting.
Sure.
This. And I will include a copy of this without the other bidders and my correspondence with them. This will be our contract.
All right, so you're gonna be up for us to
And
sign
I'll-
next week?
Oh, no, I want you to sign tonight so I can order it.
Oh, well, great, give it here.
So,
We'll start.
I'm gonna order it tomorrow. Well, I'll have to,
So you want us to initial all the pages except the signature?
right.
what's the Eversource request?
Yep, what's next?
Yes, Eversource is, if you recall, they came in, they are redoing their fixing the right-of-ways, clearing brush in the right-of-ways,
Yep.
and they're replacing all the poles.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming in, they want to start this weekend, putting in all the new poles. And according to their conditional use permit that the planning board gave them, they have to abide by our noise ordinance. And our noise ordinance says, remember how long it took us to?
Oh, just,
Yep.
what do they want, Joyce?
They want to know if they can work Saturday and Sunday.
Sure.
As long as they
Yes,
comply
let's-
with the noise ordinance,
Well, no, because your hours are outside of when they would work.
well, they'll have to comply
What-
with
what
it.
hours?
So they'll
Like,
have to change their
what
hours.
hours?
Okay, hold on just a second.
We
The
talking
hours-
3 in the morning, 10 at night?
No, hold on, ordinances.
7 probably.
I did, but
Until
for some
11 at
reason, my
night on
thing.
Saturdays. The only thing is, on the mornings, it's Saturday and Sunday. I think Sunday started at,
Whatever, what do they want?
Not before 7 and not after
Oh, you have
11.
So what do they want
7
to
to
do for
11.
this?
That's pretty good.
He
And then
said
Sunday was
that
like 8.
What he's doing is he's checking in with the town, because he was told that he has to check in with the town,
Mhm.
and they wanted to be able to work on Saturday and Sunday.
What
What
time?
days?
Did not give you the
Then
time.
What
we
time
don't
is
know,
it?
then we don't
Dates
know.
yet.
What time does our noise ordinance say? You could
They're
start
aware that we
working.
have a noise ordinance.
So can we just not, we'll discuss that next week?
What time does our
When we
noise
know what the
ordinance
time is?
say that he can start?
I can't see.
Making loud or unreasonable noises by operating any mechanically powered saw, blah, blah, blah. Hours of 10 PM to 6 AM, Monday through Friday. Saturday, not before 7 AM and not after 11 PM. So basically, all
So
day
we
Saturday.
need to know specifically what time
Sunday.
he
Not
wants to be
before
doing
8
it.
and not after 10.
So is where they're going to be doing this located in a residential neighborhood or commercial?
It's through the entire.
They're working at-
Hand him the ordinance
Catherine.
and says he has to comply with the ordinance.
He's working at Wadley Farm right now.
Well,
Then I would
let's
send
This
him the
afternoon.
ordinance and
let's
say
not
he's
be
got to meet that.
difficult, let's just ask, what hours are you talking?
Well, why should we change the ordinance for one entity?
No, you
He's
just,
not
no,
asking.
no, you send him what the ordinance says for hours. That's all he's looking for.
Yes,
Comply with it.
okay.
Yeah, that's plenty of
Okay.
hours.
All right.
That's pretty reasonable.
But certain people are exempt from the ordinance, but
Emergency.
Eversource is not.
DOT,
Okay, what's next?
Pending tax
as
deeds.
you know.
Yes, in your packets you should have gotten from Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one that I'm concerned about, because this happens every year.
Mhm.
Just,
And I emailed you all information about that.
I didn't, see, I'm not getting the emails, so. Not that I need to.
You have
So,
a tax card in your packet. Reference.
yep.
It's a habitual.
Okay, so what's the question?
Well, the issue is for the 2014 tax deed, he was able to pay at the deadline. And I don't know if he's going to be able to pay at the deadline. When I reviewed all of the lien notices that have gone out, and also there's IRS liens on them, and the IRS liens have to be notified in a certain way, so I double-checked with Cindy to make sure that she was in compliance with that.
Right.
So if we do take the tax deed, I'll have to make sure we notify in compliance with their rules. When I added it up, the liens on the property are more than the property is worth. And I say that.
So let's just follow policy? Everybody on board?
Just want you to be
I knock on the door usually a couple weeks prior to.
Give him a knock.
Yeah, Cindy said she has sent out copious letters. to
He's
these
well
people.
aware.
She normally
Usually
does,
doesn't
so-
answer, but we'll go through the motion and treat everybody the way we always
And
used to treat
when that
everybody.
date falls, we do what we have to do. If he hasn't
Right.
come before us, or we
We'll just have to do
keep
what we
going.
need to do.
Well, the other thing too is we'd like to have the code enforcement officer, the building inspector, go out and check just to make sure that, because we don't have to take a property if there's any hazardous waste or, anything that would be liable.
And then I go out, I take a police officer with me, and I, as a layperson, not knowing all of the ins and outs, I can tell you right now it's not up to code, just in the driveway.
Well,
No, but
Look at it.
you're saying hazardous.
Hazardous.
That, I'm telling you, this
So let's
is
just
hazardous.
follow
on the outside.
policy and
Because you can
Done
tell
with it.
them, you can tell the tax collector, you have to do it in writing. If you don't give her a letter saying the town does not want to take this property, she's gonna deed it.
Well, I mean, I think follow policy. Does anybody disagree?
The
That
only
seems-
problem is
we don't have a
if we
policy.
do deed it, and
There are-
we could end up owing even more money. That's what the problem is.
So we're really, the decision to deed isn't
I
gonna be
don't think
made
we can
tonight.
get-
Can we ask the code enforcement officer to do what he normally does? As Ashley said, that's part of our policy.
Yeah, we do have them go out. and
Ask
check
him to
these
go out, the
houses.
21st is coming up, ask him to go out and
Shouldn't
check
even
these
come to
out.
us right now.
Okay, we'll give him the list and he'll go check them. Okay.
Okay.
Parking lot.
While doing that, you might want to cite him on a few things prior to that.
Oh,
And send the health officer out with the code enforcement.
Well, if it's not a rental,
it's not a rental.
let's live free or die, unless he's affecting his neighbors.
He's
Okay.
not.
Okay.
I'm bringing this up because maybe you would have the answer, Catherine, that the property, and I don't have the address, but it's a brick building at the corner of, just before the Congregational Church, the 3-story brick building.
Oh, sure.
I don't know the number
On this side?
on this side.
Okay.
Okay. That they're before the planning board to get additional units.
They already had approval to have additional units.
Okay.
That was a couple of years ago. They went to the ZBA.
Right, but just recently, was there some activity, and what triggered it is with the parking lot, because I know, didn't they change some of the parking ordinance? How many lots, how many spaces you need?
That hasn't been changed yet, it still stands.
It still
But
stands?
they have, they got a variance from the zoning board of adjustment. There is specific criteria that came out of that zoning board meeting that they have to adhere to. One is sprinklers, one is drainage. I don't remember exactly what it is about the parking lot. But I know he's been working with Dari to get those things done.
Well,
We just did a housing inspection there, maybe that's what.
okay. Well, can I draft a letter from the selectmen to the planning board that he needs to, if anything's going to change there, he has to bring that lot up to code, because if he's adding more residents and he's not gonna take care of his own parking on his own property, that's gonna severely impact our ability to have our public parking. Also, when I
The zoning
walked
board of
around,
adjustment's decision did indicate he had to create parking there
he had
for
to.
his tenants, so it would be redundant for us to.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get it was specific, but yes, the
And also-
variance he received was specific to providing parking for his building.
Okay, so I have a
That's where
question.
they tore the,
One further thing, and I also noticed walking out there that, that it looks like some of the metal has bent, so there's like sharp metal coming out of the pavement that
Yeah.
someone could get hurt on, and it's on the outside of the fence.
Oh, I'll look at that, I can take care of that as health officer.
So,
Because it's not fair
I'll look
that,
at it.
Yeah, Joyce, do whatever you think.
You said sharp metal
yes.
along the fence, along the road. Center Street or, what is it, Tryon? Coming in?
Rescue, I think it's rescue.
Have somebody who
And
said
then the other thing is,
out here.
maybe not do it in public, but I think, I don't have to say it publicly.
All right, I'll look at that and I'll send him a letter.
And I just, thankfully, I was alerted today that the sewer department's gonna be changing their hours when they're open, so there's summer hours.
I have a question on that same kind of property that you said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if the zoning board of adjustment gave them permission for the parking and said that they needed to upgrade the parking for their tenants, they have a new tenant there, which is the Public Works. They have a new tenant there that's Public Works, that uses the back parking lot, and they fill up 4 or 5 spaces, our back parking lot.
I believe the zoning board of adjustments ruling was specifically on the dwelling units and the dwelling unit parking.
Okay.
But Dari could clarify that better than I could. I was at that hearing, and if I remember correctly, the entire discussion was on adding more dwelling units.
Could Derry check and make sure that they're in compliance with whatever decisions that were made? with-
Well, they don't have to be today.
And-
Their time is running out, and Dari is monitoring that.
Yeah,
Okay, so the time is running out.
Well,
They
I
have a-
shouldn't say the time is running out. Let me rephrase that. Right now, if they don't have substantial completion before March, any zoning changes would affect them. They would have to comply.
So what happens if new tenants go in on the commercial end of it?
I don't believe the zoning board's decision affected commercial properties. They would be, as any other commercial entity on Main Street, be able to park in our public parking, as they always have been. He still has the same number of storefronts.
Okay, so, I'm just asking you a planning board question now.
But,
I'm asking her because she knows planning board.
okay, I'm
If
just
you have
wondering,
a
is this
business-
Board of Selectmen or are
This
these?
is Board of Selectmen, I need to know this.
We're responsible for enforcement of our
Right,
zoning.
if you have a business that moves in downtown that is different from what's been there prior to that, different use prior to that, and they come to the planning board for whatever you call conceptual whatever, don't they look at the parking use and
Not on Main
whatever?
Street.
They just say, okay, go ahead, use the municipal?
Yep, no, on Main Street.
But if it's residential,
So, like I said, you can verify with Dari, but I was at that meeting and I'm pretty positive the zoning board's decision was based on adding more dwelling units. The commercial units already existed. It was adding more dwelling units, and that pertained to the parking lot. And right now, he doesn't have a parking lot.
so,
The zoning board of decision requires him to build a parking lot.
so regarding that bullet item, we want to make sure that Derry is monitoring that and code enforcement.
and the selectmen as well, because that's not fair.
Right, I agree.
And-
What's not fair?
Well,
Any
zoning should
changes?
be dealing with it.
His commercial units have existed long before, for over 20 years. They have the same benefits that any other commercial entity on Main Street has, which is the use of our public parking. The tenants are required to get the parking permits, their employees are required to park in the public parking. He should not be penalized unless we're going to penalize every other business on Main Street. That's equitable, that's what's fair.
Do you know what the hours are for the sewer department? Tomorrow.
7 to 3, but in the summer it'll be Monday through Friday. It's 35 hours a week. But starting this week, they won't be open on Friday.
So what time will they open?
But Monday through Thursday from 7 to 3.
So no Fridays.
No Fridays.
That's the life.
The,
Must be nice.
What, using PTO?
Yeah, she's just taking her vacation time on Fridays.
well, no,
Well,
it's,
she usually
yeah, she does.
That way she's not going a whole week
Right.
in span.
And we just need to know that, because
They let them
when people
carve out.
come in and, say, I'm sorry, you have to.
Should something be put on the website? Should there be a notice?
I think sewer department takes care of that.
She does this every year,
Yeah,
though.
we'll take care of that part. We are going to cover for her being out, the sewer commissioners. so.
Follow-ups?
I sent you again an email that the Sanperton Solar Garden Project
And the polls, yeah.
is,
Thank you for that.
Yeah. It's not, or-
nothing's happening. I updated all the curbside collection addresses for Tony.
There was an issue with some buildings on Main Street. You weren't here, so I gave it to Tony. the Blooming Iris building, the one next to the old Providian Bank. And so there's the Providian Bank, the Blooming Iris building, I should say Mike Gagney's building, and the building next to it. And I don't have it in front of me. They shared like 2 trash cans and 2 recycles or 4 recycles. So there was a lack of trash, and he wasn't aware of it.
It's all taken care of.
Okay,
All taken care of.
thank you, that was my question.
Painting the bridge rails to the island, I spoke with Wayne Crowley, now he's only one selectman, but he said no.
Okay. What else?
So are we gonna bring that to the board?
Of course we're not going to. We're talking about owning it.
Taking
They're
it,
not
yeah.
going to do anything, so
Basically, that's what he
let's
said. Go
move
ahead and
forward
send the paper.
with our plan to
Okay,
acquire
but
it.
so should we not attend their meeting and explain to them?
If you
unless
want
this-
to, Catherine.
I'll go.
want to.
I would like to go, but I think it needs to go before the board.
I'll go with
over
you.
there. And I would like to publicly state to them, you know, we have been, this is the 2nd or 3rd year trying to own the island, and in the meantime, they're gonna allow it to.
Could take 3,
And
4 more
they will
years.
say,
Thank you.
and that's why we're participating in this acquisition of Tilton owning it.
And we'll bring our camera and we'll publish.
Right.
Yeah,
So could you arrange that, please?
Yes.
You'll go with me?
Yeah, not on a planning board night.
Oh, no, not on a planning board night, please, thank you for that.
Oh, the
Not
next
on
one,
a sewer
next one
commission
is
night.
good news, I hope.
is it?
In this month's zoning.
Invoice.
Oh, yeah, that's just a reminder to me that work was completed. I got the
So that's-
invoice. The invoice has been paid, so now I can send a copy of the paid invoice so they can reimburse us for half.
Okay.
ZBA hearing, you know, that's next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And Citizen of the Year dinner is next Monday, so if you're all free.
I work Monday.
Not next Monday, the
I was
25th.
gonna say.
25th.
Monday, the 25th.
So you remind us next week?
2 weeks.
I
Yes.
forget who the citizen is.
Secret.
It's a surprise.
We'll send you a note.
Yeah, I mean, I
Make
didn't
it-
say the name, I forget.
Oh,
So the 18th?
25th.
25th,
Oh,
June.
That's fine.
okay, I might be there.
75.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Reminding us.
6 p.m. tonight.
Monday night.
And did everyone get my note?
Where is it?
6
It's all set.
o'clock.
Okay.
Yes, yes. That's, I'm glad you're handling that.
It's all
No,
done.
I don't have email.
Arrangements have all been made to get that person over there.
Okay.
Okay, so
You want to go back
that's
to
it,
housing?
we'll go back to hiring procedure. What's our,
Oh, yeah.
that's the only thing that was left that we gotta go back to, correct? I
Correct.
think that's it.
And then also some other things there.
Okay. And then we'll start, that's gonna be
Selectmen
new
stuff.
stuff. So
Can I recommend that we, since we've just gotten that revised document, that we hold off on the hiring until next week and set some time aside for the hiring and the employee evaluations?
Ron had requested if he could come in the following week, because he does have his evaluations completed, but he's on vacation next week. So if he could come in the 21st to be here for his,
Are we gonna set up time for the evaluations, and it is June now? So if we set up time for the hiring process, that's probably about 15 minutes, because she's just done the corrections, I understand, so
Well, didn't we,
by departments.
didn't we say the selectmen are gonna do the evaluations this year? So that will take
Thank
less
the
time.
Lord.
That-
are we gonna talk about the hiring procedure right now, or not?
That's what
She's
talking
asking.
about.
We're trying to figure that out,
To delay
John.
this.
We're just trying to figure it out.
So that, okay,
We can hold the evaluations up,
confused,
continue
it seems to
discussing
be
the
segregated.
hiring.
So do we want to go over this procedure tonight?
I would rather wait until next week when I've had time to read it and digest it, because there were other things that I wanted to add, but we
Is that
could
gonna be a
wait
problem if
until we got this outlined.
put that on the
And you
agenda
guys
for next
can
week?
vote without
That's
me
fine.
because I have that concert,
So you're absent next
band
week?
concert, yes.
And you have a copy, so if there's
Yep.
anything you can
Does
give a
anyone
shout
want
out.
to change or
Yep.
add, or? let us know.
For sure.
Okay. so
Is it
that takes-
21st?
14.
So the only thing we'd have to do with the evaluations, to go back to Pat's question, would be to review them.
And make a final decision and sign it.
But we're not doing the evaluations like
We're gonna
that?
review each one
We'll review them that they've
Right.
done.
that they've all done them.
I haven't done Brock.
Well, I know, but you folks are doing them, we're not
Yeah,
doing them this
right.
year. You're all
Right.
doing them, but you're gonna do them in a timely fashion in June, so that
Yep.
by July 1st, they're gonna get their,
Correct. They're due by June 15th.
okay.
Brock's already got his done. Dolly's
So-
gonna do his, Joyce is gonna do
So
hers.
this is the last Thursday of the month,
We're doing
aside
good.
for it.
Yeah.
What about Sydney?
We're gonna
Did you
need
send
to.
me-
This is amazing. It's always gonna happen.
And
So let's
Well, don't say that, John.
I mean, I think we need 2 Thursdays, just saying. I think the police is automatic, most of the police is contractual, so we could do the last week of June and the first week of July, and have the police in the first week of July, because most of them are, it'll be just admin.
Don't they have to be done by the 1st of July
Well,
for the police?
We
We
can,
usually
No,
doing
I
this
really
because
don't
it's
want to
August.
spend that much time on these like we have.
Well,
Can we
this-
let the
we won't,
superiors
we won't.
and
That's
the
the
people
first
that
meeting in
we're
July.
paying to
Oh,
do the
July,
job, do
yeah.
the job? And unless there's an issue, I don't want to go through every evaluation.
I think the important part
So here,
is to
here
make
we
sure
are now.
that they did fill them
Yes,
out.
you've got the 15th.
But that's
They
their
fill them out, but
superior's
What
job.
they put is their job. but
14th
if
to
they're not
21st and the
filling them out
28th.
correctly, if they miss
That's,
things
you
that
know,
they've
I
done.
don't need to micromanage.
Okay,
If
I'm
It's
going-
not
their boss
micromanaging
doesn't
them.
think they're filling it out correctly,
but
That
they
would be
will,
us.
they will say
in all
that.
fairness though,
The-
Ashley,
The department heads, yes.
in
I don't
all
want to go through
fairness,
everybody's
Ashley,
evaluation again.
the department head will fill out an evaluation on an employee. The department head will then give us the evaluation and a recommendation. We'll look at the evaluation, and then it's up to us to make that recommendation on a raise or no raise based on what we see on the evaluation. So we do have to look at every one of them. That's the reason why. We're not micromanaging. That's the reason why we look at every one of them.
But this year, we'll have a summary sheet from Tim.
That would be fab.
Sometimes.
Just have the summary sheet. We
Yeah.
don't need to, unless there's an issue, we
It's
can go back.
simplified. this year.
Sometimes we find on the evaluations that the employee hasn't even reviewed their own evaluation and weighed in on it.
If we have a sheet that
that's
just
changing this
says,
year.
that would be great.
Yes, we will have a summary sheet.
And then
Anyway,
if there's an issue,
So
we can go over it.
you're absent next
Timeline.
week. We'll do the hiring procedure next week.
Go ahead
which
and
is the
start
14th.
evaluations next week if you want.
Well, they're not due until the 15th, so
Oh.
there's no way that Joyce can do that all in a week. The 21st, we can start the evaluations with Brock, because he's already got his done, a few of whomever Joyce has done. The following week, Joyce is gone,
yep,
so the 28th, she's gone. So by the 21st, you've got 2 weeks to do your evaluation.
yep, but what about like with Dari's staff
And PD.
We
and
can do,
Cindy's staff?
right, we can do his the week you're gone on the 28th.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
And the
Because we'll
chiefs.
have a summary sheet.
And the
Right,
chief,
sounds
yeah.
good.
And
I'm
the
setting the
chiefs.
chief a
Yeah.
reminder now.
I think the selectmen should be all completed, all the departments by the last week of this month.
They absolutely will be,
And then, so the
Yes.
selectmen
And
should
then a
be able to
summary
have
sheet.
them all
correct.
on the
Without-
28th.
So by the first week in
Comments.
Yep.
July,
They
they'll be
could be
signed off
entered.
on.
I want to see all the evaluations, not just the summary sheets.
Of course.
Right. I'm
But
with
you don't
Catherine
have to
on
go
this.
through
Personally, I don't.
Every single, there's not.
If I see an
when you
issue,
them,
then
they're not
I'll
21
request it.
questions.
Right, but we could each do that by choice.
Yep,
That's right.
for sure.
I'm just letting you know that.
Okay, so you've got the timeline down good,
Yes.
and it fits into all our requirements.
The Thursday.
So that's taken care of.
Are we already at our reports?
What's that?
Are we already at our reports?
No, I still have some
So
questions for
hiring
you.
is
We can, yeah, the
We have questions for
questions
Joyce.
on the selectmen's FYI folder, I believe,
To be signed.
to be signed.
Oh, are we ready?
Yep.
All
Go
right,
for
so
it.
that one's good. All right, so hawkers and peddlers license. Now I'm not gonna remember. Oh, copy of liability insurance coverage is attached, so is it not
Who are you looking
applicable?
This is the,
Like week t-shirts.
for? Ready?
For the,
I'm looking for copy of liability insurance coverage is attached. Nothing is checked and there's no copy of liability insurance in here.
You get it, he does this every single year.
Okay, so regardless,
I'm amazed that we don't. Oh,
nope,
there it
you know
is,
what,
right there.
here it is, but it's not checked, so
Please check it.
this should be yes.
Usually we have a ton of these.
So I know, my next question is,
We haven't done
will there
this
be a
couple years.
temporary tent or structure, and it's checked yes. Do we have anything from the fire department that says they don't need to be inspected, it's okay, some kind of verbal?
We do not,
Okay.
however, we can get one. You're not gonna sign it?
Well, it's not complete.
Okay.
So, I will sign this, but I would like to make a motion that it's not issued to the applicant until we have some sort of sign off on a positive note on the tent.
I think
A
required.
sign off from whom?
The fire. Will there be a temporary tent or structure? If yes, a permit to operate it is required. Contact the Tilton Northfield Fire Department, 286-4781.
Does it say,
Yep,
is
it's
it
actually-
checked? Is it checked, yes or no?
Yes, there will be a temporary tent.
Okay.
It's checked
What
yes.
more does he need?
He needs to contact the Tilton Northfield Fire Department.
But it's checked yes, so what do we
It's
want
checked
from
yes
him?
that there will be a tent. There's nothing in here that indicates that, okay, yes,
He
there
didn't
is
follow
a
the
tent.
procedure,
The fire department
get
has
permission.
been contacted.
If
Usually-
we did, we don't have anything to go along with
Right,
that.
usually there's something in here, and now it's, it's okay, it's good, I've seen the tent, or I don't need to inspect. There's something, but there's nothing. So I made a motion that we not issue this license until that takes place.
Okay, I'll call him because he,
ASAP, because
I'll
Bike
make a
Week
motion
is
that
here.
that license be put on hold until fulfilled all of the things.
I'll make
She
a
already
second.
did, she already did that.
No, you said you need a motion.
Oh, I said I made a motion, but
Oh,
I'll
you
second
made.
your motion.
Okay,
is there a full moon tonight?
Oh, my God.
might as well
I think
be.
it was like
It is
last
never-
week.
No, it's just we're all nervous because we all have things coming.
Oh, I'm not nervous.
All right, so
It's summer
Catherine made it,
solstice.
John seconded.
Yeah, John said summer solstice
I'll-
this weekend,
Hand
longest day
that
of the
back to me
year.
and I'll take care of it.
Thank you. Yeah, it needs to be signed by John.
Yeah, once complete, I'm fine.
I'm good now. I think. I haven't
Is that
done
it?
this one. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Are we gonna vote on it?
Anything else?
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay,
Yep, hang on, what was
let
it?
the record show.
Let the record show.
So we have 1,
3
2,
to
3 in favor of holding back.
Mm-hmm.
Peter and Pat, nay, thank you.
Correct.
Anything else in there?
And
that you-
anything else? Any, okay.
No,
Any
this is
questions
the-
with the manifest or the payroll? or-
I haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
So, the next thing we have is public, is selectmen's reports.
Got a statement on the payroll. If you take a look at this week's payroll, there are several errors that needed to be corrected, and when they're corrected, the person, it looks like someone else has corrected the error and put in the holiday. These are adults, this is their money, this is their wallet. We shouldn't have to go behind them and pay somebody to correct their timesheet for them. There's got to be 7 or 8 corrections in there, and then they put the new correction on top of the old correction so you can see it. I mean, there are a lot of corrections in there this week. That should be addressed by the administration over there. Maybe they need to revisit payroll during a holiday week. Looks like Town Hall and Public Works got it correct. Just saying.
I look for the exceptions.
thing under selectmen's reports. Go for it, sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
Do you happen to know what the status is on the T-Hop repainting, redesigning, the one-way in and out? If I've been asked once, I've been asked 20 times, when is this going to happen, because it's not needed, and are we going in the first one and out the second, or are we going in just the opposite way? And nobody can
It was in the
answer
minutes.
that,
It was in the minutes. Brock's gonna meet with Sergeant Morrison.
right? And did that ever happen? That was weeks ago.
That, I believe, has not happened.
And he's on vacation next week.
And he's on vacation next week.
That should be done when the lines were painted, because we asked for that before they even started painting the lines, to get that straightened out.
To make it one way.
Um,
Can we perhaps maybe get with Brock when he gets back from vacation and get an update and a status and figure out when this is going to happen? We've been talking about this for months now.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
When does he come back?
He'll be back on the 18th.
That's awesome.
Anybody else for selectmen's reports?
I have a list.
I just have a comment to make. I don't know why they're doing this, because we pay holidays at the end of the year. So I don't know why they're even including this on these timesheets.
They worked the holiday.
Yeah.
So if they worked the holiday, have to put the holiday worked time down.
They did. It was, Joyce brought up a good point, though. It's the PTO that all the
Yeah.
red was.
They should, for the patrol officers, we should completely eliminate that line. Because it doesn't matter whether they worked a holiday or not. Because they get paid for their holidays in December.
Yes, it's involved.
Yeah, so you could just say regular hours, that's
So we should like bring that up
work
with Tim.
14 hours that day. They get paid for their hours work.
Why is it?
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know why they even bother putting holiday in
What's
there,
that way?
I think you've been doing that quite around.
but he shouldn't be.
What do you have to say? You already said, you said I have a list, and then you said, okay.
Here's my list.
You have more?
They should.
Complete.
Checks.
Exact same.
Catherine has more to say. I think we should
Yes, you
continue.
want just,
Catherine Selectmen.
Do you want me to go, or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we would
That's it.
actually.
All right, so, I just want to talk about the bollard for Riverfront Park, because that bollard was going up in cost because of the tariffs on steel and all the kinds of things. It was getting close to $700. So, Brock said that they could make a bollard.
All of a sudden, this whole time, they can make one.
Well, they were never asked. I didn't think to ask them,
Okay,
so I did. And so they're gonna end up saving us
great.
at least
Excellent.
$500.
Okay,
And it's already done, and the other bollard, we'd have to wait almost 60 days. The sidewalk walk along the river, Brock had suggested that we just, to go along your lines, John, and he couldn't find a place to get the product that you sent locally. So he suggested, so that it meets ADA compliance, that we just use the ledge pack that we used in Riverfront Park, because that does meet ADA compliance.
then the choosing that or similar.
Okay,
in
so if
the
everybody's in
purpose.
agreement.
Sure.
What about dry manufactured sand, which is even smoother?
I don't know how it compacts, but he has the ledge pack.
they have the stuff already, though.
And it wouldn't
Go back as
interfere,
well.
if the Board of Selectmen decided to go ahead and pave it, we could still do it with the ledge pack down there. But he can fill in the holes, the sinkhole, and maintain it that way. So if everybody approves, Joyce
That
would do
material
the
works
rock,
great
now
in
go
the
ahead and
park.
use the ledge pack.
Where are you gonna put it?
Along the river sidewalk,
Ledge pack?
yeah.
Where it's
That's-
the
we
same
already
stuff that's
have.
in the mill park.
Is that from Park Street to the mill building?
Yes,
until we
the bare naked along the river
resolve that.
with the sinkholes. And then, you know, like I said, if we decide we want to have it paved, that isn't gonna hurt anything. But at least it'll make it better.
Can we at least request that they compact it as much as they can for wheelchair access? Because
Yeah, use the
there
compactor one.
are 2 wheelchairs that
Yeah.
that are pushed down along the riverside for fishing.
He is very aware that that has to meet ADA compliance. I've talked to him about it several
It's gonna be
times.
hard as-
Water and calcium chloride when you compact it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. The Civil War fence, I talked to him about that just the other day. He's gonna look at the fencing in the back to see if there's any of that that could be salvaged because it runs through such brush. One of the things that I said before is the posts. We're not gonna be able to duplicate them. So he's gonna see about salvaging that. And when he comes back from vacation, he'll have more of a proposal for us, which will probably be using the newer fence, which is very, very close through that shrubbery in the back where it's not gonna be noticeable, and salvaging some of that for the front.
Okay.
Just one thing, that's not new news. That was 4 weeks ago, and it was also a year ago that we talked about that last year.
It wasn't a year ago we talked about what I
know
just talked
We talked
about.
about swapping and using the parts in the back once before.
Right, but we
but-
didn't have a replacement
so-
for the back, which is what I found just in March.
So let's see what we see.
Okay. So,
Keep that moving.
well, that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
How are we doing for an engineer for the Academy Street retaining wall?
I have a list of engineers, I just have not sent them out yet.
Okay. We need to decide what we're gonna do about Old Route 3 in Winnisquam. Are we gonna take back those lands that they've encroached on and make it part of the paving project? Because if we do, that's gonna increase the contract and we need to notify the bidder.
I thought we were
Yes.
gonna let them decide.
No,
we
are.
We're gonna take it back.
We are
I
taking all
vote to
that
take
back.
it. I vote to take it.
I agree, we should take it back as well. But, and the other thing is we need to discuss, and we can do this next week, is, act on the input from the public meeting we had with them. Is it gonna change anything? Are we gonna alter any of the traffic flow, et cetera, so that we don't stall this project for the fall,
Can
which
we
is
put
coming
this
right
in
upon us.
in an item on a
So if we can
thing?
do that next week, that would be great.
On that note, are you gonna go out to the sidewalk? You had said that to them, that before the 4th of July, to look at and view the encroachment.
I thought we did that, like last year, we did that. We did a good long site walk last year.
That was before it
That
was
was before.
purchased,
Talk about the
right.
But is there a change?
Yes,
And
there's many changes.
budding property.
so there's a change in the Tilton town land?
No, there's no change in our
No.
property and,
That
we
suggests
could do
that
a.
we come up with the decision on the taking of the pieces and the paving and come up with an idea of that, and then we can all go out and see if that will work good out there.
Well, when we take back those lands that included the paving, there's additional parking to be made, so.
Yeah.
And you're
Just
gonna
saying.
get shock with the sticker shock. You're gonna have to excavate and then fill from bottom up.
Yeah, that's why we want to discuss all that. We'll set
Yeah,
that on
that's
the
why I'm
agenda.
saying we need to
for-
set time aside to discuss that next week. We don't want to lose time. The other thing I want to talk about, it was brought up, I don't know, maybe the last meeting, that the Board of Selectmen had voted not to let the dispatchers have comp time. Well, I can't find that in any minutes, because at the time I couldn't remember it being in any minutes. And when I looked through the union agreement, the Board of Selectmen would not have had authority to say that those particular employees, the dispatchers, could not have comp time, because it's in the agreement. It says here that it's at the discretion of the chief of police or his designee, and it's the
Could be the
employees.
Board of Selectmen.
The accrual and use of comp time will be at the discretion of the chief. But it allows them in this agreement to have comp time because they are employees. In other words, it doesn't specifically say in here that the dispatchers will not have compensatory time off.
I don't think that that's the, do not think that that's the issue. We never said that they would not have comp time. The issue was, if you give somebody comp time, and we discussed this as a board, with the police department, if you have overtime and your budget is getting kind of tight, so you say, well, can you stay over but take it as comp time? When you fill that, it's in the contract, you fill it with non-overtime filling. Okay, so you fill it with a person that's not going to get overtime for it. That's in the contract part, that part of it. So with dispatch, you have 3 dispatches, okay? And when one dispatcher was getting an exorbitant amount of comp time, up to 40 hours, in order to fill that, it was creating an overtime situation for the people that needed to fill that time, to fill in that time. So we said, be very careful, do not give out comp time, because you can't backfill that comp time with people in the unless it's overtime. So you're giving this person overtime. So you're giving comp time out as time and a half. So if they work an hour over their shift, they get an hour and a half comp time per the contract. So then the person that's filling in that time is getting time and a half for filling in the time. Do you see the money now spent by the town of Tilton to cover that shift?
However, I appreciate that description, but that doesn't pertain to the conversation. And unfortunately, the conversation took place in non-public because I can't say what I want to say. But that doesn't pertain to the conversation that took place. It was indicated that we ordered no comp time, regardless of how it's used or whatever. And I don't believe that was so. And
I think it said their interpretation that we ordered no comp time.
They left because they went to another place for more money. Bottom line.
There was a comment made that
Yes.
it was because of,
Well, then
There was a whole
hopefully they
conversation
find
about it.
the
That's
comp
not the
time at
point.
the new place.
it was.
They get comp time here. Nobody should get anything more than what
They still
town
get
hall
comp
employees
time,
get.
right.
Okay, I can't discuss it in public, so maybe we'll have to go in non-public next week and I'll discuss it further because it was erroneously.
We can go into non-public tonight because
No, we'll do it
Ashley's
next
here and she's not here
I
next
don't-
week,
I
so
mean,
this
I
is
have
part of the
nothing to say about
conversation.
that. I don't, no, you guys can do it next week.
I'm good. I know what
Let's
the
everybody
conversation
take-
was.
What do you want as the end result? Do you want to open up comp time to dispatchers? Is that what
I
you?
don't think we have a choice not to allow them to have comp time because it very specifically gives them comp
Are they
time
getting comp time?
in this contract.
They're getting some comp time now.
We
No.
were told.
Nothing.
They
But
do
they
get
were
comp
not.
time.
Yeah, I have seen,
They have comp
they
time.
have had some.
This, I don't
Catherine.
even, this should not be a question. It's either they do or they don't. And if we don't know, that's like a
No,
major
no, they
Oh, I
problem.
know.
have, a dispatcher has.
They have in the past, it was stopped.
But it wasn't, it's not a lot.
Okay, it's okay.
They
Let's
should
go.
be getting what the town employees get.
Yeah, well, they,
No, they have a contract.
It depends on the needs,
Hang on a
Ashley.
second. Joyce, you do the HR and review the payroll. Could you explain to me what you see is going on?
Well, this is back when we really only had one dispatcher. We had one dispatcher. So there wasn't really anybody that, I mean, her use of comp time is very limited. But she did receive some comp time. How much, I couldn't tell you compared to well, it would be applied the same way, no more than 40
But
hours.
like, it should be just a set thing, right?
Just let Joyce finish, please, and
Right,
then
but
we'll
the
go.
non-union employees do not have comp time, hourly employees. Non-union hourly employees do not get comp time. Our policy is we don't allow comp time, we'll pay you the time and a half.
So what do you guys,
So with the dispatcher, it was pay the person a time and a half, make them work over, pay the time and a half. But now we have full dispatch, so there's more people that could swap shifts and cover. And the way I interpreted it, or heard, or understood it, was that this way, by having that comp time, that's an extra up to 40 hours that they can use when they need it, when they need to
So what
take
does
time off.
comp time mean to you?
That you give them, you allow them to take time and a half for hours not worked. I mean, for hours that instead of paying them overtime. But our policy has always been such that it's managed, it's tightly managed and controlled because it can get out of hand. It just will cost too much.
So,
we'd rather
I
pay
mean,
the
I just
overtime.
think whatever the rest of the town employees are getting, other than the
Doesn't
police, because they're under the contract, that's what they should get.
It's
Catherine, you
it's
think
correct that
different?
No,
This-
I'm talking
hang on a
about a
second.
specific incident that took place, a specific dialogue, and it's fine. It's not gonna be able to be explained well unless it's a
The
non-public.
dispatchers are union and are under the union contract,
And
correct?
are
They're not the
eligible
same
for
as the-
comp time at the police.
They're not the same as town
Chief's
hall employees. They
discretion.
have a separate.
Period.
I really
Well,
do,
I-
be-
That
Not
to me
controlled by the Board of
sounds-
Selectmen.
That to me
Catherine.
sounds,
I really do believe in my heart of hearts that most often, I'm not even gonna say most often, I do believe that conversation that took place here with the Board of Selectmen that was transferred or communicated back to the PD was not communicated correctly. Our intent,
I'm talking about what was said at
if
this
you let me
table
finish,
to the Board of Selectmen.
And
It
that's-
doesn't matter what was
if
transferred
you
back there.
let me finish, the people that came back with the information that they got was communicated to them. It was not correct information. We do give out comp time, and that is one of the main reasons why
Okay.
we asked them to go out and get part-timers so that they could explore the comp time issue.
No.
And now we have new
And
part-timers.
thank you for that explanation, but that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
So we want to review,
Nobody has said no comp time.
Yes, they did.
From this Board of Selectmen,
Yes, they
nobody has said that.
Yes, they did.
Well, then it has to be an individual, and no individual has the right to say that.
That's correct.
Well, I rest my case then. It's,
Look,
Articulated
the bottom line
incorrectly.
is that it was reported to us that they couldn't get comp time. And that's why one left. And that's not right, and it didn't come from the Board of Selectmen. End of story.
Joyce, could you talk to the people that were here discussing that and ask them if they're clear on that and that they understand the way it really is? We need to clarify that with them so that
It's
there's
time
no
to read
misunderstandings
page 19 through 20.
and tell them and make them aware of the contract and the way it works.
That the Board of Selectmen and no member of the Board of Selectmen has the right to tell them not to give those employees comp time. Motion to adjourn.
Same thing,
Second.
same thing. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed? So moved.